come to you with something quite specific, and I think you introduced it in your introductory remarks, and that relates to King 4 and IP. And in our discussions in anticipation of this talk, we had a brief discussion about the very contentious and well reported on court case of McCarthy and Vodacom, and the Please Call Me case, which all of you certainly will know about. And if you can perhaps just give us some thoughts on how King 4 also influences perhaps directors' obligations in relation to IP.
Well, this is one thing that I definitely wanted to look into when the codes were first published. The codes do provide for an IT governance section which deals with how IT is governed in a business. Now, specifically, it splits it out into technology and information, which is a very interesting division between the two. And in these provisions, they do deal with intellectual capital. Now, one thing that's important to understand is that the King codes do follow the integrated approach which has been developed internationally for trying to bring about integrated thinking of directors and them focusing on the different areas of capital which a business needs to look after. One of those areas of capital being intellectual capital. And what I want to discuss there is that this is becoming something that's more and more prevalent in a society where there is a definite need for a knowledge-based economy, so a push for businesses to develop knowledge capacity and have access and ownership of that knowledge and finding ways to exploit it. And often what's seen that a lack of understanding by CEOs or directors of the technicalities results in the strategic thinking around information technology and intellectual property opportunities being pushed down to a management level, and the strategic positioning of the company not following the developments and change control not being done appropriately to follow the developments in technological developments. And this can be expressed quite poignantly in the McCarthy versus Vodacom debate, where the actions of a particular individual who had a fiduciary capacity might have created a liability in respect of intellectual property where there should not have been one. And the question is therefore, is that because there was a siloed approach to intellectual property? Is it because we're focusing too much on intellectual property as an asset and not about the environment and risks associated and strategic positioning that's required in respect of intellectual property, information, as well as technological IT systems available in the entity? And my question there is, and perhaps something that Ansie might want to respond on, is does the King Code address this? I know that the provisions which deal with intellectual property specifically are very few in the codes, and I want to know, is this something that should be perhaps be given more attention or greater voice in the codes?
Ansie, perhaps over to you.
One of the things that we decided at the outset was that we would deal with issues at a higher level. So it's not only the IT provisions that are now much shorter and more succinct and brief. It's actually across the board, risk and all of the other compliance, all of the other issues, even shareholder relationships. Actually, we had the same concerns as you have, and that's the reason why we split technology and information, because information has been so closely associated with technology that we have lost our appreciation for the intrinsic value that information has, the intellectual property value of it. So information has actually become an asset that is not as valuable anymore because it's so available. But where one adds the value to information is, of course, in the way that you synthesize it, by how you link it, by how you connect the dots, how you use that information. And that's the intellectual property that you're talking about. We did not deal so pertinently with all of the issues that you've raised, and that is perhaps an area that we need to look at.
Yeah, especially in light of the recent case study that we had in the Constitutional Court.